Back to the North American, not just America, show match series. Boys and girls, we're pretty close to the end of this one. There is one game remaining if this doesn't end right here, right now. Spawning in the lower right corner of the map from IVD Gaming, the blue Protoss player, Puck. And his opponent in the bottom left, currently leading 3-2 at the moment from Chaos Latin Gamers. It is the Red Zerg player, JimRising. Now, it's worth noting we just had what I can only best describe as a weird, cheesy opening at a gym. I definitely don't think Puck was ready for the proxy hatchery, but he still reacted pretty appropriately. And if we're gonna be honest, there's 2 instances in that game where Puck was so close to killing out Jim, but just barely couldn't pull it through. That happened a little bit earlier too in the series on Overgrowth. I can't help but remember back to that. But if this map goes in the favor of Puck and we go to game number 7, that leaves New Polaris Rhapsody only, the lava map. So we'll see if we even go there, if JimRising can close this out. I do want to remind you guys too, this is or not remind, but tell you guys this is the most recent version, so the filled out bottom part here, not just this awful top part with the 2 watchtowers. Oh god, the first iteration of Newkirk was awful, but I like this one a little bit better. As far as picking maps too, by the way guys, like, so we always try and integrate the normal map pool, right? Because we want some good games of maps we've seen and maps we can be familiar with, but we also try and mix in a couple of the old ones and a couple of the odd ones, because it does resuscitate some old build orders for some players in rare instances, but it's also just a little fun to watch. You're like, oh wow, I haven't seen this one in a while, and we'll see how dynamically different this may or may not be. This is a map though where if JimRising was going to go Swarm Host, this would be the map to do it. To dictate what really tells you what a good Swarm Host base, by the way, is, guys, is how many bases you can hit from one location with Swarm Host. So you'll hear a lot of commentators talk about how Habitation Station's a fantastic Swarm Host map, and that's because you can hit pretty much every base from the middle of the map. Same applies here. You go around this area-ish, you can hit this base, you can hit this base, you can hit this base, you get the natural. Hell, you can go all the way around and take this base to the north. I mean, again, I don't know if JimRising is actually going to go to Swarm Hosts. He's shown that he's willing to use them, but they've not really been the strength of his strategy today. A lot of what Jim's been doing is these crazy Zergling aggressions, catching Puck off guard, these base snipes, the awkward Mutalisks that for anyone else probably wouldn't work out the same way that they do, but for Jim, he makes it happen. And he's been playing pretty darn good so far. So as he goes to represent Nation Wars in the future for Mexico, we'll see how his strategies continue. But as far as the show match is concerned, I've been pretty impressed so far. Now, of course, if you're just tuning in as well, JimRising, the little fella over here on the right side of the webcams. I can't actually tell where my mouse is right now. And Puck over on the left side of the webcams. But we got that early metabolic boost coming out, and he did not fully pull off of gas. Okay, so when you see one drone on gas like this, if they pull off entirely, you're expecting them to either dump so far into their economy that they try and take a third. Jim's not really been the guy to do that so far, though. And by leaving 1 in and not 0, he's not going to go for necessarily a huge speedling all in. He's making a lot of Zerglings right now, granted, but with the 1 still mining, I kind of think he's looking to forward his tech, and he's not looking to do just that all-in move. That being said, it's quite a long distance from base to base without metabolic boost, and Puck very well could get this wall off in time. But the Mothership Course actually moved across the map. This is unfortunate. If this was home, he could hold a lot easier, but, 8 Lings versus, well, 8 Slowlings specifically versus what is going to be a Sentry and a Stalker shouldn't be that big of a deal. In fact, Puck may end up walking across the map with these. But the Lings just kind of chilling. Puck sees them too. Like, it's odd to see this many Lings early. A lot of the times when you hide them like this, it's because you're banking them up. I'm not sure if this is a fake out of Jim or not, but with speed complete, he darts across the map, and the Mothership Core picks off a Creep Tumor. Might not seem like a big deal, but a nice start here, as he knows he can't kill the Queen. Not fighting the way he can here. But Jim catches the probe up here. Ooh, actually, that's going to be... First blood. But back towards Puck's own base. I mean, the Forge is delayed. He's not been one to put down cannons right away for a lot of this, but that's okay. And it's worth noting, guys, because some of you may have forgotten about the prize pool at this point. There's $100 in this match, so 75 for the winner, 25 for the loser. Again, we always try to make sure there's a little bit of a loser payout that way. It's like a thank you for playing, right? Thank you for putting on entertaining games for us all to watch, and that's certainly been the case so far. Now Puck, I don't know, you know what, I'm just thinking with this Robo coming out early like this, he's been relying a lot on air tech. He's had some success with Phoenixes, some not success with Phoenixes. I'm a little curious what his plans are, if he's going to go for an Immortal Sentry all in, But Jim's already looking at, like, he's got Zerglings up here, he's got Overlords around the map, he's looking for potential pylons. And if this is going to be an Immortal Sentry Element, no, I take that back, I didn't even catch. +1 weapons are being chrono boosted out. But why the Robo then, I wonder? Twilight Council also on the way? We'll have to see. I'm thinking a Warp Prism, because of the way this map plays out. Oh, you know what I would love to see, actually? 4 sentries put in this Warp Prism and massive Warpins come to the main. Kill the main, choke off the natural. Because Jim always puts his macro hatchery in the natural, not the main like you see some Berserk players do. So if that's going to be the case, Puck's going to find absolutely nothing to defend as far as the main goes. But middle of the map's got some Zerglings still roaming about, not something he can ignore. And Zerglings are going to look for the opening. Puck not going to give it to him. There's another hold position on over here. And it will be a War Prism, but I don't know if this will be for the load in. He is going for Blink behind this too, and he's chronoing a heck out of +1 weapon. So I'm not sure what tricks Puck has up his sleeves. I'm just waiting to see if those sentries go into the Warp Prism or not. If they do, this could work out really nicely. Because +1 weapons will shred those, honestly, any Zerglings that fled to the main to pieces. A Roach Warren's coming down, but he's certainly not going to have a lot to play with. And the Warp Prism moves out without loading up any of the sentries. So this might just be a couple Zealots warped in while Puck actually attacks, say, the natural or the third. Jim going to tear down the cooling tower. This might kill a Ling or two. Okay, 1 Ling did die there. Idiot. But a macro hatchery is coming down as predicted at the natural at a JimRising. We may see him go for roaches, which would be kind of odd to consider the way this series has been playing out. But 3 Zealots warped into the Warp Prism for now. Zerglings alone won't deal with this too effectively, but this many certainly will. But Puck not showing any signs of aggression, just gearing up for the Immortal Sentry behind this. If this Warp Prism waits and waits and waits, I think that's probably going to be his best bet to cause some real damage. You know, try and fight the natural with that Sentry Immortal, but then unloading the main with Zealots. For now, he's going to start the harass and maybe draw the attention to Jim, hoping to make him bait into more roaches, I guess. But no, the Warp Prism's not going to unload. The Blink is what I've got a lot of curiosity kind of riding on right now, because Blink Stalkers can be really effective versus roaches and Hydralisks if they're the focus of your army, if the Blink Stalkers are en masse. But it's not Blink Stalkers that you're focusing on here, it's the Sentries and the Immortals, right? So this is just a bit odd to look at the composition. And let's not forget, one of the biggest tendencies of these scumbag units, the Stalkers tend to be on the front lines. They take the Zergling hits, then they blink back and leave the Sentries exposed. It happens way too often, and I don't know if it's going to be the case here, but oh my god, he catches so many Zerglings in this! The Pylon! What? Is Jim not going to kill the Pylon? Jim can't kill the Pylon! Oh, there's so many Zerglings here, but they all get picked off and shoved off the cliff into abyss and nothingness. Now looking to continue pushing across the map. He's still got that Pylon to fall back on if he wants to. Full wall off at home dictates that there's not going to be that run by that wins the game, and a cannon's even been placed down as well. Puck is looking to go across the map in a big way. This is so much potential for damage. And let's not forget, he can always pick up with a Warp Prism and try and do some intense micro. He could maybe take some Zealots, go towards the main, whatever the case may be. But waiting tentatively here to get his army up a little bit bigger before going in. There's really just not a lot for Jim to hold this off, though. 21 Roaches and 20 Lings looks really scary at first, but let's remind you guys, there's a lot of sentries here that have full energy. Not just recently warped in, 9 sentries in total. And even though he burned a lot in the middle of the map, he's still got a lot of force fields to fall back on. Now, I'm not sure where his focus is going to be, but let's not forget, beyond this, he has +2 weapons in a second here. He's got Blink on these Stalkers. These units are about as tough as it's going to get, or as tough as they can be for the timing in which they're hitting. Unfortunately, though, Jim tries to run past the other side of the map with Lings. A Force Field, a Cannon, a Zealot. I mean, he should... Honestly, Puck's not in any real danger, I feel, for a counterattack. But still pushing strong and going forward. Stalkers, Zealots... and even Immortals. Oh my. That Spine Card dies like nothing at all. Does try and catch some of the Roaches. Unfortunately, the Force Fields are just barely lacking. Emphasis here is on just barely. But Zergling's coming in from the back and might catch Puck a little off guard, but not by much. Again, these are level 2 weapon upgrades. This is so many Blink Stalkers, and while he's getting sandwiched in right now, Force Fields will drive back the Roaches, which means the Lings have to disengage. And Puck, honestly, has to choose a place to fight before he runs out of Force Fields. I think pushing into the third and using the ramp behind him might be his best bet, but still looking to move forward. That's a lot of Zerglings coming in. He actually He keeps all the roaches out, backs away from the ramp, and now it's just Zerglings he has to deal with. Yes, he's going to lose a couple of stalkers here, but as long as the roaches can't get involved with the fight, Puck is going to wreck everything, and as we see, that is happening right now. The unit's loss count is racking up very quickly. The roaches are dying to the Immortals, and I think GG is called. We're going to get game number 7. We are going to go to New Polaris Rhapsody.